more fuel and tires around 75 to 85 laps. Now, the keys, beware of the apron. Last night we saw Kyle Busch, our pole sitter in the Busch race. He got on the apron, shot up the racetrack, and wrecked himself, as well as Ron Hornaday. So beware of the apron down in 3 and 4. On target with the adjustments. Remember, we talked about a short race, not a lot of opportunities to adjust on that race car, so you got to be on the mark every time you make adjustments. And track position versus fresh tires. We talked about that at the top of the show. You've got to have a good handling car at the end if you want to make that strategy pay off.
For more information on Phoenix International Raceway, including DW's hotspots, log on to foxsports.com, keyword FedEx. One car will go to the rear for the start, and it's the car that qualified third, our defending Nextel Cup champ, Tony Stewart. Failure to start the race on the NASCAR designated tires with which he qualified.
NASCAR has a procedure where the top 10 qualifiers, they have to impound their tires, and you have to start the race. There was some confusion as to what happened to those tires. There were some conflicting stories. Bottom line is the 20 car will have to go to the rear of the field.
Yeah, I heard the stories. I heard every kind of story. That Goodyear had poked holes in them, which they do when you turn them back in sometime. But they did it by mistake, and I heard that maybe somebody else did. I don't know. There's a lot of rumors going around about those tires.
But the one rumor we can put to bed, he will start the race at the rear of the field.
Yeah, and he will start on stickers. That's one good thing.
Brand new tires.
Yeah.
43 cars ready to race in the Arizona desert. It is hot today. It is a strong wind that's had the flags out straight from west to east. That wind blowing down the backstretch all day long.
You don't feel much of that in the car here, though. You're pretty much surrounded by grandstands, and you don't get a whole lot of that in the car. Whether it buffs the car around or whether you think it make the driver feel a little more comfortable, it doesn't do either one, really.
Pit crews can get a bit sandblasted, however.
Oh, yeah, the little whirlwind's been going around here all day.
But one thing you got to be careful with all this wind blowing around. We see it a lot of racetracks is getting debris on those grills that cools the radiator. You don't want that to happen to you. See Greg Biffle there, the 16 car, buffing those tires in. Well, boys, it's Saturday night. What do you think? Let's have a party, DW. Reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time.
All right, I'll do it. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Boy, Greg Biffle got a rocket shot off turn 2 to take the lead.
Yeah, that high line, you get a lot of momentum off of that corner, and he just pulled right around Kyle Busch, and away he went.
How about that Budweiser car, Dale Earnhardt Jr., the 8 car? He's already making moves. Started back in the 11th position, already well up in the top 10. Two-time winner at Phoenix International.
Don't forget, that car ran really well here last year. My brother was driving it, and Michael led a lot of this race in that very race car.
Tell you what, Kurt Busch in that 2 car, he's already making a little bit of noise right there. Started back in the 7th position, he's already up to 3rd.
That's
Defending
another
champion
car
of the race.
You know, the Dodge hadn't won here, Larry, as we documented a number of times. I think tonight that might all change.
And he looked so good in practice on those long runs yesterday.
His owner, Roger Penske, arrived here a few hours ago with his 2 IndyCar drivers with him after a long night's flight from Japan.
Yeah, Julio won the race over there yesterday.
Hey, see Tony Stewart, we're looking at him up there, the orange 20 car. Remember, had to start at the rear of the field, and he's sliding around here. Darrell pointed out, probably started on brand new tires. The biggest thing they've got to do is play it safe here in the beginning, stay on the lead lap, not get in trouble. You see how fast he's catching race cars and going by them. Easy to get in trouble that way.
Yeah, back there's a lot of spotters saying, okay, the 20 car's coming, give him some room.
Second place, older brother Kurt past younger brother Kyle.
Oh, brother, where art thou?
Jeannie?
Well, Greg Biffle on a mission here today, and it's more about staying out there and surviving the entirety of the race and getting confidence back. Right before this one went green, Doug Richard, the crew chief, came on and said, we are a championship team. Today is the day we start getting that confidence back. Nice and smooth, be there at the end.
Well, you know, Jeannie, we watched him yesterday a lot in final practice, and they were not happy with their race car, but it looks like they've made the right adjustments. He was really fast on a few short laps, on a few short runs. Be interesting to see if that car stays consistent for him.
We're riding with Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car. Now he's back in the 7th position, putting pressure on Matt Kenseth in the 17. But Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s teammate, rookie Martin Truex Jr. in the 1 car, he just drove by Kenseth on the last lap through 3 and 4. He's up in the top 5 and 5th.
Carl Edwards running in 4th. 2 seconds off the lead. His lap time's identical to the race leader, trailing Biffle and the Busch brothers. Just ahead of Martin Truex in the 1, Matt Kenseth the 17, and Junior coming in the 8. Matt?
Wally Brown telling the 99 driver, Carl Edwards, the distance and how it is closing between the 1 car of Truex and the bumper of Edwards. Now, Carl did tell his team the car's a little bit tight, but Bobby Hudson told me the biggest thing they have to do now is settle in, not beat themselves like they did at Texas. Carl's been trying too hard. Just take what you can get and make the most of it. Don't try to do too much too early.
Thanks, Matt. Jimmy Johnson works underneath Ryan Newman, takes the spot away, tries to bring Brian Vickers with him in the 25. That race is for 9th place, and Stewart, who started last, is up to 35th.
Yeah, you got 2 kind of guys out there right now. Those that say, hey, I like my car, I hope it stays this way. And those that say, my car is junk, I hope it gets better.
I'm going to tell you, another car that keeps moving right behind Brian Vickers in the 25 car is Mark Martin in that 6 car. He's been getting about a car a lap. He started back in 18th. He's all the way up to 12th. He's making some noise here early.
Well, he had a great run here last night in the Busch race. That's got to pay off on this racetrack. The knowledge he gained last night, tires, pressures, and all that stuff, got to work good tonight.
We start this race in broad daylight. It's good to be good at the start of the race, but the nighttime is the right time to be good here. That's when it pays.
Oh, yeah, a lot of these guys are going to be saying, thank the Lord for the nighttime. Forget the day.
Yeah, the track will just have more grip at night. The cars won't slide around quite as much. See Kevin Harvick right there in the 29 car. He's up to the 13th position. Been one of the hottest drivers on the circuit. 3 consecutive top 10 finishes over the last 3 races. 23rd to 9th in points.
And a win going away last night in the Busch race.
How's my pick doing there, Larry? The 43 car is up to 15th. Got to keep an eye on my boy tonight. I got a good feeling about him.
But he's on the move because he started back in 21st in his 43 car.
Sterling Marlin in there with them in the 14. And Greg Biffle finds his margin shrinking just a bit. Kurt Busch closes to within 0.7 of a second. You're watching the Subway Fresh 500. An anxious moment while we were away. Watch the contact between Joe and Jamie McMurray in the 26.
Yeah, this is a moment, all right. What happened was Joe got loose off of 4 and kind of got sideways in front of Jamie, and Jamie got in the back of him and just about spun him around. That's a wee bit more than a moment.
And that's about maybe 150 to 160 miles per hour there when that's happening.
In baseball, they'd call that a nice save.
You definitely get credit for a save right there. How about Kurt Busch's, at least he didn't sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Thank goodness.
Tonight on the pre-race, that's the first time I'd seen it. That was pitiful. What was he throwing at?
Kevin Harvick? I don't know.
I don't either.
You know, guys, as I watch Greg Biffle, our leader, the 16 car, he's led, this will be lap 20. He's led all laps of this race. How many times this year have we seen this? We saw it in Texas. We saw it at Fontana. We saw it at Bristol. And this year, he has finished 31st or worse in 4 out of the 7 races, and he's led every race except Martinsville. So I know these guys they got to be holding their breath, hoping they can see the checker flag in the vicinity that they're running right there.
Well, and like I said in the pre-race show, Larry, if you're outside the top 20 after this race, there's only been 1 guy to make it in the chase, and that was Matt Kenseth last year. So got to be some nervous car owners down there tonight.
Let's talk about importance of track position. That was very important last night. Tony Stewart's finding out how important just now. He has been working hard trying to get past Scott Wimmer. He got to the bumper of the 4, couldn't get past him, had to settle back in. Stewart, who had to start in the back because he's not on the tires with which he qualified for the race, has only made it up 11 spots to 32nd. Now, Denny Hamlin started well, but he is drifting back in the field. And Steve Burns has more on Hamlin, who's fallen to 25th.
Yeah, Mike, he started in the 6th position. He's very concerned about the race car. They think they may have a plug wire off one of the plugs. When he keys his mic to talk, we can hear him, and that engine sounds flat. That's exactly how Denny is describing it. He's also keeping a close eye on his gauges, concerned about the power plant.
So there's no question. We're 23 laps into this race right now. Denny Hamlin in the 11, Tony Stewart in the 20. They both would love to see a caution for 2 different reasons. They want to see if they can fix this 11 car, but Tony Stewart is only 8 seconds from going a lap down right now.
And I think that just shows you how important qualifying is. Now, you throw you're back in the pack, if he had a bad pit selection and he had a bad pit stall over here, he'd never find his way to the front because he'd be blocked in on pit road, can't get around cars on the track.
And here comes the leader, Greg Biffle.
We'll find out how good he is here in a little bit when Biffle gets in his mirror.
And you know Biffle, when he gets the lead, there is no holding the reins on that horse. He'll lap as many cars as he can, as fast as he can.
Boy, this is a mess right here. I've been watching Casey Kane, Robbie Gordon there. Jeff Gordon just got around these guys.
Now this is a group racing for about 20th position. We're riding with Kenny Schrader here in the 21 car. He's actually in the 24th position. Denny Hamlin, Tony Stewart will get their caution they need here at lap 25, debris on the racetrack.
Piece of debris just past the start-finish line.
These cars must not be put together as good as they used to be.
It was out in the racing groove, and as cars went past, it got blown over toward the inside of the front stretch wall.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I mean, we used to bolt our stuff on a little tighter, I guess. Tape it on tighter, wire it on better, I don't know what, but man.
We're a third of the way through this fuel run right here. I think it's safe to say pit road will probably be very, very busy right now. We still have all 43 cars on the lead lap.
All right, if you're Tony Stewart, do you stay out for track position or come in for tires?
I think he comes on in and he banks on his crew beating some cars off pit road.
Let's find out, starting with Matt.
Carl Edwards in the 99. Now his car was tight earlier on, then he just got tighter and he started to let some guys go. Didn't want to get himself in a bad position. Look for both a chassis adjustment. They've already made an air pressure adjustment in the rear tires and on the left side as well. So we'll see how that significant air pressure adjustment helps free up this race car. Jeannie?
Well, Greg Biffle's car at the 16, just a little bit tight. Some conversation as to how to adjust it because they don't want to over adjust, obviously, if the sun's going down. How about an air in the right rear and then around a wedge out. Dick?
Kyle Busch started on the pole, drifted back to the 3rd position. The front end is not gripping as well as he might like. Biffle has already passed him. His brother has passed him before Kyle Busch gets out of his pit.
41 cars on pit road at one time.
Steve?
Well, Mike, this afternoon, Jason Shapiro, the car chief, told me they made 4 adjustments to this race car, not big ones, but small ones, because they had been fighting tight in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Just now they brought Tony down. They made air pressure adjustments to try and fix it.
Big loser on stops, Jamie McMurray, who almost overshot his pit, looking straight into the sun, trying to find his pit box. Biffle's crew with a big send-off, and that of Carl Edwards. We're working the first caution of the day in Phoenix. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
What Bono said to him after all that happened, he's sitting in the car wrecked. I think that's the best thing that Bono could have done for Martin. It gave him a wake-up call. You're a better driver than that. Now let's act like it.
He's showing it.
And he's showing it. Sometimes you got to get on the old mule.
He's the meat in the sandwich right now between the Roush cars. In fact, Carl Edwards in the 99 car just went by him. Now, as we look at Carl Edwards in that 99 car, we talked about it in the free race. We know we have viewers that have just joined us. Big shakeup at Roush Racing over the last week and a half. They moved Bob Osborne, which was Carl Edwards' crew chief, over to Jamie McMurray, the 26 car. Moved Wally Brown, who's a longtime friend of Carl Edwards, an engineer. They have moved him to be Carl Edwards' crew chief.
Meanwhile, in the Yates camp, got a little busy here with Elliott Sadler, who's 24th, right ahead of teammate Dale Jarrett. And looks like a little right side damage, perhaps, on Sadler's Fusion. Let's have a look here.
Yeah, he just rubbed the letters off the tires. You can see that. Probably just slid her right up against the fence ever so slightly. Lightly, politely.
It's over there in turn 2 where you run out of racetrack almost every lap. Late exit.
Wonder what these boys would do if it was like it was about 4 or 5 years ago when it was 20-foot narrow.
Yeah, they moved it out quite a bit.
Now you know why.
How much is that doggy on the quarter panel?
You mean the one with the broken tail?
The one with the waggly sheet metal. 2 DEI cars. Truex moves aside for Dale Jr. Dick Berggren.
Yeah, Junior's having a pretty good day for himself. He's complained that the car is a little bit loose in and a little bit tight in the center, Mike, but there has been an awful lot of work done on that number 8 car today. They changed the entire braking system in that automobile, so much so that Tony Eury Jr., the crew chief, was late for the driver's meeting. Now, that only results in a little bit of a fine, but they changed everything, the rotors, the calipers, the whole deal. They just wanted to make sure, after last night when several people had brake problems in the Busch race, that Junior had none. He is now riding in 5th. He started in 11th.
I can't tell you how many times guys have come here and kind of ignored the brakes. They get in the race, and you just don't realize how much brake you use here, particularly getting into turn 1, and you can't run any tape on your brake ducts here.
Yeah, I mean, you've got these long straightaways, and you pull a very high gear here that doesn't let you slow down when you roll out of the throttle. So definitely this is one of the tracks you can get in more trouble with brakes here than you can at Martinsville.
Sterling Marlin having a good run in the early going here. Takes his waste management 14 underneath the DeWalt Ford of Matt Kenseth.
Kenseth has lost about 4 or 5 positions just in the last 2 laps in the 17 car.
The 2002 winner here. Time for our first singular virtual crew chief question. Will the point lead change hands? Jimmy Johnson right now, based how they're running, would be 19 up on Matt Kenseth. Text the word crew to 191 on your Singular wireless phone or log on to foxsports.com/singular and you'll be entered to win Jeff Burton's payday at the July race in Daytona.
Now, another thing that you got to be real cautious with here, Larry, and you know this, and Jeff too, camber. I know it's got a limit on how much you can have, but you mess around with that air pressure with 8 degrees or so of camber in that right front, you can have a right front tire problem here with brake heat included.
And remember, camber is how much they lean the wheels in at the top of the right front. Helps the car turn the more you lean it in.
Things are pretty busy from 20th spot on back.
There you see Kenseth in the 17 losing another spot to Kevin Harvick in the 29. About to fall in the clutches of Casey Kane in the 9 as well.
Matt?
Harvick in the 29 just moved back inside the top 10. Now his help that he needed was entry and rolling through the center better. Just way too tight. Air pressure adjustment to fix his issues. Meanwhile, Kenseth last year came into this race 21st in the championship standings. Now second. His issue tight as well. They made a track bar adjustment. He is still continuing to backslide. Now in the 11th position, while the 9 of Kane working on the bottom.
Casey Kane, Mr. Momentum, coming in here.
Yeah, he is. He's got it all on his side right now. That cat's got a lot of confidence versus what he had last year. But, you know, a lot of times we come here, we complain about the sun in our eyes. It's been a big issue here for years. But because of the start time of the race and this new grandstand down here in turns 1 and 2, sun is not the big problem it used to be here. So guys don't have to deal with that quite as bad as they used to.
See Clint Boyer in that 07 car right there. Up to the 13th position, made his very first career start here 1 year ago. In fact, the only Nextel Cup start he made in 2005. We've got 3 rookies in the top 15 in points. We talked about Mark Truex Jr., Clint Boyer in the 07 is another one, and Denny Hamlin in 11, all rookies in the top 15 in points.
44 laps complete as Tony Stewart pulls alongside his former teammate Bobby Labonte in the Petty 43. Stewart has climbed into the top 20. He is now 18th. Greg Biffle leads in the desert by 0.4 of a second.
The Subway Fresh 500 on Fox is sponsored by Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR, and proud sponsors of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and the number 8 car. Still sizzling in Phoenix. Greg Biffle started on the outside road, took the lead from the start from Kyle Busch. But Kyle Busch, the pole sitter, has recaptured the lead here. It came on lap 48.
Yeah, you see right there, they're coming down the back straightaway. He just really drives in right underneath Greg Biffle right there, and Greg kind of yields to him. Kyle's able to make the pass, make it look easy.
And Tony Stewart and Mike Joy mentioned how he had to go to the back of the pack all the way up to 16th, so moving. But Jeff, a little bit more on qualifying third and failure to start on qualifying tires about that move.
Well, that's something NASCAR felt like they had to do. I mean, I'm a little bit surprised. Got trouble right now on the track. 22 car. Looks like he's gotten into the outside wall, got damage to the right front, guys.
Spotted real good.
Let's rejoin Larry, Darrell.
Right front tire.
Yeah, Dave Blaney, just the car never turned. Darrell went off into turn one and straight up to the wall, and the Caterpillar Dodge has the right front down.
We're riding with Dale Earnhardt Jr. here. We're getting a report that he was feeling something he didn't like, so this caution, I think, will be a good break for him. And I think this is another big break for Tony Stewart. The 20 had moved up to 16th. If his boys can buy him some more spots on pit road, he's going to be close to the top 10 before you know it.
That was his strategy, Larry. Let the pit crew do it. I'll take, I won't tear the car up out here. Y'all move me up in the pits.
Earnhardt used to tell me it's much easier to pass him on pit road than out on the racetrack.
Make up seconds down there. Only make up hundreds on the track.
Feeding time. Here's Steve.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
Hey, Mark Martin is doing a great job. He started 18th. He was tight early. He said now the car is freed up. It's getting faster and faster. Small adjustment, half-pound out of the right rear. Matt.
Carl Edwards, one of 3 Roush drivers currently in the top 5. So the car was really balanced well, had a 4-wheel drift down in 3 and 4. They're going to make a air pressure adjustment to Genie.
Well, the right rear tire of Greg Biffle, the 16, was chattering. That is the tire they put a half-pound of air pressure in last stop. You better believe it is coming back out. Dick?
Well, Kyle Busch came in first. He's going to go out first. In the last pit stop, it was the driver who called the changes that he wanted. This time, crew chief Alan Gustafson called the changes. Busch said the car is absolutely perfect coming off the corners, just a little bit tight in the center. He's got a great race car.
Look at the left front on Carl Edwards' car. He was exiting his pit fast as someone was coming in kind of slow, and I didn't see who the other car was. Edwards clipped it, and he's got a lot of damage.
It might have been the 45. I saw Kyle Petty look like he was in trouble.
Matt?
Not taking a chance, Mike. They're bringing him back down pit road. You can see the cosmetic damage to that left front. On his first pit stop, he had a very close call with both the 96 and 66, Green and Rains. Didn't make any contact that time, but certainly contact now. Not taking a chance, trying to work their way back up in his championship point standings. Luckily, though, they can work on this left front fender, beat it out, but they're going to lose a lot of track position.
Had similar problems in Atlanta. So Carl Edwards, left front, that'll upset the aero on that car, and you lose all that track position.
Did you hear
on a day he had just as good a car.
Did you hear the bad news on the 5 car?
Too fast entering the pits. And so he'll go to the tail end of the line for the
And look at the air pressure in that left front tire. I mean, that thing you probably can't have over 8 or 10 pounds in it.
You're riding with Dave Blaney.
Never turned.
Nope. It's a helpless feeling, I'm telling you.
Autism awareness camera on Blaney's car. We'll be right back. We're under caution in Phoenix.
Mark Martin and now Dale Jr. breathing down his neck.
Yeah, in fact, Mark Martin, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Tony Stewart just ran their fastest lap of this race 2 laps ago. The thing I'm noticing, turn 1 and 2 is in full shade now. 3 and 4 still in daylight. As this track cools down, the grip gets better, the speeds go up.
And grip helps a bad car more than it helps a good car. I mean, I know that may not sound right, but if your car's off a little bit, that cooler track temperature will help it the most.
Show you about losing grip. Kurt.
Little high, woo.
That's Kurt Busch in the 2. Got into that outside wall just like we saw Elliott Sadler. Right there in that shot, I saw 3 different cars skim the wall.
Boy, he pushed that right front fender way in, too. It's not rubbing, but it sure is going to lose some downforce.
A little bit tight with that fender in, so make sure we pull that fender out next time.
There's Kurt Busch telling his crew chief right now, and he's actually operating without his regular crew chief. Roy McCauley had surgery on Tuesday. His Busch crew chief, Matt Gimbel, is looking after this car, telling him a little bit tight when I knocked that right front fender in, just like DW mentioned. Tell you what, the car right behind Kurt Busch, Clint Boyer in that 07 car, up into the, right there, about to get in the top 5. He has been on a roll ever since the start of this race as well. Clint's 13th in the points, only 95 points out of 10th. There goes Mark Martin in the 6th car. He's been getting off the corner so much better than Greg Biffle. Watch right there, through the middle, on the exit of the corner.
Now they're teammates, but Biffle is not making it easy for Mark Martin.
There he did. He just pulled over and let him go by. It's hard to make that pass off of turn 2 over there. You need to drift all the way out to the wall to really keep up your speed.
Now we've got a side-by-side battle with Dale Earnhardt Jr. for second.
Biffle will run you hard, but he will give you room once you get there. And there is up to the door or better.
You see how great a run he got off of turn 2 over there with that high line? A lot of speed up there. When you get down on the bottom, it kind of bogs you down if somebody's underneath of you.
Singular virtual crew chief question, will we have a new point leader today? And you said, wow, by a 3-to-1 margin, yes. Remember, when you participate in Singular Virtual Crew Chief, you're automatically entered for a chance to win Jeff Burton's payday when we go to Daytona in July.
There's that side-by-side battle for 5th. We talked about Clint Boyer in the 07. He drives by Kurt Busch in the 2. Updates you on Denny Hamlin in 11. They've continued to be on pit road every caution. Right now, he's 4 laps down in an 11 car. That's Casey Kane in the 9 that's moved up to the 7th position.
But they fixed it. They fixed the 11 car because his lap times, you can see right now, he's going around some pretty good race cars. He's got a long way to go, 4 laps down, but got a long way to go in the race.
Now to update you on Dale Earnhardt Jr., right before that, they went to pit road under that caution. We're riding with him here in the 8 car. As they took those tires off, they found nothing wrong with them, and everything looks good now, sitting here in the 3rd position.
Yeah, he thought he might have a tire going down just before the caution flag.
Well, you know one thing that kind of bothers me about that? Brake chatter. You use a lot of brake here, and you can get brake chatter that will warp the rotors just a little bit, and sometimes that vibration will make you think you got a tire problem.
OAD stands for overactive adrenaline disorder, a quality these Ford drivers possess. And they are Ford's biggest movers of the race. Mark Martin is the one at the front. He's gained 17 spots. Ken Schrader has picked up 6, and Jamie McMurray plus 2 positions.
Ken Schrader in the 21 car, he's up to the 19th position right now. Kurt Busch in the 2 car, remember, he's complaining about his car not turning with that right front fender. He just loses the position to Casey Kane in the 9. Casey moves up to the 6th position. We're riding with
Still there. Good job. Still there. Still there.
Get well wishes to Glenn Wood, who had hip replacement surgery, resting well at home, watching tonight. And to he and Leonard, the Wood brothers, inducted tonight in Portsmouth, Virginia, into the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame. Only the 5th racers ever to be so honored. A great accomplishment, and great to see the Wood brothers recognized.
But can you imagine the stories that they can tell? I mean, from the back
clear,
Pearson days, winning
job.
Indy with Jim Clark. I mean, they have done it all, and they're still around to tell about it. I love that. The history of our sport is still alive.
Now, right behind their car with Kenny Schrader aboard, almost 3 wide right there. As J.J. Yaley bounced, I think he bounced off the wall right there behind Jeff Green.
You're just going to do that a lot over there, Mike. It can't help it. There's just too much. There's not enough room.
That's Jeff Burton on the inside. The 31 carrying, what's that, Prilosec colors tonight.
Yeah, that's my favorite product. I use it a lot, Larry.
Since you've been in the booth with me.
Yaley, I think he scraped it again that time. You know, we have the Darlington Stripe. What are we going to call this off turn 2 at Phoenix?
Well, I know our fans, they think we're going to have a new points leader when we leave here. Jimmy Johnson, Chad Canals' 48 car, I think they're making a little noise about that pole that was taken because he just took the 3rd position away from Dale Earnhardt Jr., comes in here with a 15-point lead. Looks like he's got a pretty solid race car right now. But on the other flip side of it, his teammate, Jeff Gordon in the 24, 27 position. This is one of only 4 tracks he's not won at. I don't think that's going to change tonight unless something really turns around.
No, Carl Edwards catching, and remember Edwards damaged the front end of his car on pit stops, had to come from the back. He's now 28th, and Kyle Busch, who was penalized to the back for speeding on pit row, he has climbed to 31st. Comers and goers will be the story of the night. Right now it's the sun that's going down, that is, as Mark Martin leads Greg Biffle by 1 second. From daytime to sunset to darkness.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
It's Saturday night. What do you think? Let's have a party, DW.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
83 laps complete in Phoenix. Nice to hear Senator John McCain give the command. Longtime U.S. Senator from Arizona, John Kyle, a longtime NASCAR fan and a big booster of the racetrack as well. Mark Martin, leader by a second. Well, it took 75 laps from the back of the pack, but Tony Stewart has fought his way into the top 10. He's in 10th place, 10.5 seconds off the lead.
And for viewers that just joined us, he qualified 3rd in qualifying. NASCAR has a rule. You have to, if you're in the top 10, you have to start the race on the tires you qualified. There was some confusion. What happened to the tires? NASCAR put him to the rear of the field, and as you said, 75 laps from 43rd to 10th. Now that's his teammate Denny Hamlin in 11, had some engine problems earlier. Right now he's 5 laps down, so this is not a battle for position.
Let's check with Steve Burns.
And Mike, Tony Stewart's made a great charge back to the front. He told his team, Greg Zipadelli, the crew chief, I need help off the corners, and I'm also a little bit tight in the middle. So what they did to adjust, they took a ½ pound out of both rear tires and made a track bar adjustment. It's working right now.
Thanks, Steve. Now the 2 cars that went to the back on the last caution flag. Carl Edwards, the 99, for damage. He is up to 26th, and Kyle Busch, too fast on pit road, in the 5. He is up to 28th spot. Dick?
Yeah, Kyle restarted in 39th position, Mike, and I was listening to his radio just a moment ago, and he said that the car was a little tight in the middle of the corners, blamed it on Arrow. Asked where he was. When told by his crew chief he was 28th, Busch was in complete disbelief. All those cars I passed, he said, and I'm only 28th. Well, he's got 27 more to go to get to the front. We got a crash on the racetrack.
Scott Riggs has crashed his Valvoline Dodge in the back straightaway. Lap 88.
Keep coming, come on.
3rd caution of the day.
What's the pace car coming here?
This team was just getting some momentum, 2 consecutive top 10 finishes after finishing 7th at Texas a couple of weeks ago, but a lot of damage to the front of this Evernham 10 car.
Looks like right front.
Crashed here last night in the Busch race.
Kenny Wallace will get the free pass. He was the first car 1 lap down.
You know what? I hate grass around a racetrack. I wish it just every time. You know, you probably could have saved the thing if you didn't get off in that grass back there.
Well, let's see.
We've seen so many cars get loose off turn 2 right there. Car just breaks loose all by himself. Across the grass you talked about there, and just went up there and just kissed the inside wall.
Looked like Kyle Petty did in practice Friday. He lost his car very same way, coming off the corner.
He's on the bottom, he's on the bottom, clear high. All clear.
Quite a lot of damage to the old 10 car.
Well, we've got 36 cars on the lead lap. Pit road is open. It's been about 30 laps since we were on pit road, so I would say it'll be a very busy place once again. A lot of cars still sliding around. Probably a big break for Kurt Busch in that too, even though they'll probably give up some positions, give them an opportunity to work on that right front fender that got damaged.
Give me 4 of them, Mr. Feelgoods, please.
Real quickly.
Pit road is open. Mark Martin will lead them in. Here's Steve.
Mark Martin has said that from the beginning of this race, this car has gone from being a little tight to a little loose. The only adjustment they'll make to that number 6 Ford, a half-pound out of the right rear tire. Mark Martin says the car is very fast right now at this point in the race. Matt.
Easy entry for Jimmie Johnson in the 48 car. You can already see the wrench in the back window. The track bar adjustment completed. The same adjustment they made on the last stop. Just needs to be freed up a little more, and he's down and away to GD's Alaska.
Well, the 16 of Greg Biffle worried about the brakes being hot. They have some tape on the brake duct. They're going to pull that tape off to give that duct a little more opening, a little more air will get in there to cool them down, hopefully, Dick.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. pitted in 5th position, but several cars have beaten him off pit road. Jr. still concerned a bit about that right front tire. Didn't like the way that thing feels on the racetrack.
Got a little bit of a battle of a couple of cars that stayed out, I think, trying to lead a lap and get 5 points. Looks like Elliott Sadler in the 38, David Strimmy in the 40 car. Again, they were way back in the field, so why not? Strimmy's coming to pit road now. Here's at Sadler. He'll try to get his 5 points. This was the race off pit road just a second ago. You see Biffle, Jimmie Johnson, Mark Martin in the 6, as well as Casey Kane and Clint Bowyer.
Hey, Larry, who do you think has the most top 5s, most top 10s, and if he keeps going, maybe the lap leader when they leave here tonight?
Would it be Mark Martin?
Roger.
Hands move of the day is a helping hand on that last pit stop. There's Stanton Barrett's number 95 and Dave Blaney's 22. Denny Hamlin's trying to get out.
That is, I don't know what that guy in the 22 car is thinking.
Nice save.
But I'm going to tell you what, I can't stress enough how hard these teams compete against each other, but they're always there to help one another.
So nice move, Mr. Webb there. On behalf of his team, Allstate will donate a $1,000 scholarship to the Urban Youth Racing School. Allstate, official insurance sponsor of NASCAR. How about Kyle Busch coming back from a pit road speeding penalty? He and Carl Edwards side by side, but a lot of traffic in front of him.
Oh, trouble here. Ground goes to 55 and a bunch of other cars. Holy cow.
Elliott Sadler involved, Michael Waltrip, Kyle Petty, Joe Nemechek.
I believe the...
And the track is blocked. There is nowhere to go.
Just got in the back of Michael. That was all Lee. That was all Kyle Petty right there.
Oh, Sadler's car is junk, and the red flag has come out here in Phoenix as the track is completely blocked. Nemechek is involved. Reed Sorensen is involved. Michael Waltrip's car is heavily crashed, and all drivers have been ordered to stop right where they are.
You just saw a quick shot of Kyle Busch in the 5 car. Same thing happened. We just had talked about Clint Bowyer last night. Now remember, Kyle Busch was penalized for speeding on pit road after having a car that led this race, had to go to the rear of the field, just like Clint Bowyer last night, and this is what has happened to him being in the back of the field.
You get back there and play with the squirrels. What was it Todd Parrott said one day? Never mind.
No, you don't go there.
I won't.
Stick your finger in a rattlesnake's mouth. You can't get mad because it bites you.
Oh, well, we heard on the radio somebody saying, I'm not sure who it was, that Kyle got into the back of Michael.
You're riding with Kyle.
Keep coming.
A lot like we saw last night with Clint Bowyer when the 32 car didn't go and Bowyer did and got into the back of it.
Let's listen to Michael and see if the car gets loose under throttle here.
Kind of held up by people in front of him. He's giving Jeremy trying to stay off of Jeremy.
Gosh, hard lick.
Now watch the 5 of Kyle Busch, the CarQuest Chevy.
Him and Casey Mears in the 42 car get together down the front stretch.
Yeah, that didn't even have
had nothing to do with that other wreck up there. Totally separate.
No. He just gets in a little high. Casey was underneath him, forced him high, got in there, not enough grip, and the car just came around.
Now, you're riding with Joe Nemechek.
And it's got a vibration in it, so. High.
Got a bad vibration in it now.
Darrell, one thing that's so hard to see in the initial contact between Kyle Petty and Michael Waltrip is whether or not Michael lost forward bite. And Kyle Busch not happy with Casey Mears for the contact that ended up in Kyle spinning. And Kyle's out of his car. But Darrell, it's hard to tell from any camera angle whether Michael broke traction and that brought Kyle into him, or whether Michael was off the gas. What do you think?
Well, Michael was right up on Jeremy Mayfield, and Michael was trying to stay off of Jeremy, and in the process, he probably got run into from behind because he couldn't go.
You know, the biggest thing with this 55 car, remember, we've been talking about it, right there on the verge of just barely being in the top 35 in owner points. He could fall out of the top 35 in owner points, going to a place where you're at the mercy of your equipment next week to qualify at Talladega.
Yeah, and he didn't qualify worth a flip at Daytona, so not a good night for the old Napa car.
The track was blocked by that crash, so we are under the red flag in Phoenix.
Put up with that right now. I'm telling you.
Let's check. Not here. We got a long way to race tonight
a long way.
Let's check in with Michael Waltrip. Jeannie Zalasko is standing by with him.
Yeah, a long way to race, but unfortunately it doesn't look like Michael will be taking part in too much of it. I'm watching you watch the monitor, shaking your head as well. You still trying to figure out what happened?
No, I know what happened. I was passing, I was up beside Jeremy in the Napa car and just got run over. I don't know who was behind me, and I don't know why they would have done that, but put an end to our night on our Best Western Domino Self Express Napa car. I got to say all that stuff because I've been like under the radar all year long, not having any luck.
I can't imagine you under the radar.
Well, I don't like being that, and we had a good car. We started last, and we'd gotten up in the middle of them. We were working on it, and Jeannie, I just can't understand. You know, I'm racing beside a guy, and you know, I can run into him if I want. It just freaks me out how somebody could just run you over. But, you know, that's the way it goes. I'm a big boy. We'll go to Talladega. At Daytona, I had the slowest car there. Got out qualified by Morgan Shepherd, but yet was still able to lead the shootout and run up front. So I'm at a loss. I'm upset, but, you know, we're hitting it. We're going to work on it. We're going to fix it.
All right. Thank you for the time. I'm glad you're physically okay, guys.
All right, thanks. So Greg Biffle, Mark Martin, a couple of Roush cars currently leading as the caution flag is out after the red flag, and another look at this is a slower look. Even your quick eyes can't capture all this. What is that called, Artie? Exmo?
It's an Exmo right there. You take a look at Joe Nemechek getting in the side of Reed Sorensen in the 41, Kyle Busch standing around. A lot of carnage right there off of turn 4.
Exmo, do they live in Alaska? This is the Subway Fresh 500. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
Safety update.
Down here at the Fusion Cutaway Center, and when you think about fire suits, you always think about a guy catching on fire and how they protect him from flames and the heat from outside. But would you believe it? Here in the desert tonight, these fire suits will help keep these drivers cooler because of the multi-layers, and the material it's made out of actually pulls the sweat away from the body, allowing that temperature to drop. That's right. By the multi-layers that the guys will wear, like the T-shirt underneath the main uniform, will actually pull the sweat away from the body, allowing it to cool the body. So the fire suit not only works as a way to protect you in the event of a fire, but on hot nights on racetracks, it allows you to also be as cool as possible behind the wheel. And we all understand the fact that when you're cooler, you're a lot smarter, you're a lot more aggressive, you can do a better job.
Thanks, Jeff. That's our State Farm safety report as we get set to go back to green. Where is that? Oh, up on Monument Mountain, Monument Hill. There's a couple of them up there.
Rattlesnake Hill. That's a side. You know what they call that? A sidebar.
Look,
What do you think, boys?
they look kind of one-dimensional, didn't
Sidebar.
We're a third of the way through this thing. Let's crank this
they?
thing
But let's
up.
just do that.
Wrap that surround sound all the way over.
We'll let you know when we're done.
Mark Martin, your new leader at lap 106 from teammate Greg Biffle. Jeannie Zalasko in the garage where Kyle Busch has declined to be interviewed. And Joe Nemechek has a 39 race streak of running at the finish. Jeannie, is that streak over?
I have half a mind to go fight.
Get back with that in a moment. Kyle Busch declined to be interviewed because he's climbed back into his race car, trying to get back out on track. And there's a look at Joe as they try to get his Army Chevrolet back into battle.
From the look of that right there, he's working hard to keep that streak alive.
Well, Larry, of course, you know, that top 35 thing, when you're down there in that range, you got to get back out there and get every point you can. Going to Talladega next week, you don't want to be out of the top 35.
Yeah, right now, Joe in the 01 car would be 29th in the points.
So it wouldn't take much, you know, to slip back there, and then you'd have to qualify every week, and that's just a terrible place to end up.
Daryl, I get a sense, we talked about this at the top of the show. You guys talked about it in the pre-race. Greg Biffle's car was so good when this race started, and the racetrack was really slick, but it looks like they're almost losing the handle on it, not keeping up with the adjustments.
I just didn't like the way that, remember yesterday we rode in the car with him a lot, and on the long run, the car would really get slow down a lot, and it looks like that something's going on with it on these long runs.
But I'm going to tell you what, who's keeping up with this racetrack right now? Mark Martin, Pat Tryson in that 6 car. You see right there, this is the big difference here, how much the track has cooled down. Over 10 degrees. Again, it just gets a lot of grip. The speeds pick up. And if your car was set up for a very slick racetrack, it could be way too tight right now, the car not turning.
Well, Rusty Wallace is the all-time lap leader here with 868 laps, and Mark's not too far behind. He might close that gap down a little bit tonight.
Now, Jimmy Johnson kind of was a little late to the throttle there at turn 2, so Clint Boyer dropped to the bottom to try to take advantage. Biffle is right there, and Junior, and Jimmy was able to build a little distance on them coming into turn 3. But Boyer and Biffle go at it side by side for third place.
I mean, right there through 1 and 2, we watched those 3 cars, and this is a flat short track run, 3 different grooves through that end of the racetrack.
Yeah, the track really widens out in the race. You can see how much rubber's up off the bottom of the racetracks. Nice little second groove. You can almost get all the way out against the wall down here in 3 and 4.
Clear.
Riding with Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car. He just moved into the 4th position by Clint Boyer in the 07. Right behind Boyer is Junior's teammate Martin Truex Jr. in the 1 car. There's Tony Stewart in the 20. Had to start this race at the rear of the field because of a tire infraction from qualifying. He has worked his way up to the 8th, and DW, there's the 43 car. Bobby Labonte going to the top 10.
I like it. I talked to Bobby a lot this weekend, and talked to Richard, Dale a little bit, Dale Inman. They felt really good about their car. They had a great test at Richmond.
And there's Elliott Sadler, who along with Kyle Busch and Joe Nemechek are trying to get repairs made back in the garage. I think we've got technical issues fixed. Let's try and get back with Jeannie.
You know, a lot of guys have good excuses for not wanting to do interviews. Kyle Busch getting back in the car, Joe Nemechek having to get back to work. How about Elliott Sadler? He's a side of the car right now, but just moments ago, you might still be able to see he's got a hammer in his hand, and he was in there with just the rest of the guys. Got the fire suit unzipped, tied around his waist. He's been getting his hands in here. He just said, I can't talk right now. I got to get this car fixed, got to get it back out there. What a lot of the guys keep telling me, though, is this happened at the worst possible moment, because if you check out where the sun is at, if you look at the in-car from Michael, you can see all they got was an eye full of sunshine when all this unfolded. So none of them really know what happened until they check out the video again.
Yeah, and what a driver loves to get out of his race car and get a hammer in his hand.
You can do a lot of things with a hammer.
You just take a lot of frustration out on that race car that's all bent up, so you can just beat the snot out of it.
Here's a battle right here between Jeff Gordon and the 24, Dale Jarrett in the 8-8. This is a battle for the 20th position. Scott Wimmer in the 4, still on the lead lap as well.
Yeah, they just haven't made the right adjustments on that 24 yet. He's just not happy with that car at all.
Right behind Wimmer, Casey Mears in the 42 car. Remember, he was involved in that wreck with Kyle Busch in the 5 down in turn 1.
Robbie Gordon there looks like he's coming on pit road for something. Pretty slow.
Yeah, he's much slower, I think, than even 45 miles per hour right now.
Sounds like it sounds like it's got a cylinder down.
Gordon was in the top 30. Does not go to the garage. Goes to pit road. We'll update you when we learn what the problem is. Third place, Dale Jr. working over Greg Biffle. Pretty even match of the top 10 as Jr. completes the pass. 2 Roush cars, 1 Hendrick car out of 4, 2 DEI cars out of 2, 2 Richard Childress Chevys out of 3, 1 Joe Gibbs Chevy out of 3, 1 Evernham Dodge out of 3, and 1 Petty Dodge out of 2. That's the makeup of our top 10, pretty evenly distributed. Matt?
Jeff Gordon, who finished 3rd here 1 year ago, had higher expectations coming in just off of how well they ran here last year, but they've been struggling from the get-go. As you see him work the outside of Dale Jarrett, he has been loose everywhere most of the night, but he says the thing now really took off on the last run. Still now, they need to work on the balance a little more. It's a little tight down in the center, but they are making headway on this 24 car.
Oh, if they get enough cautions, Larry, and they keep adjusting on the old girl, they might get her to come around.
But we talked about that. It was one of our FedEx racetracks. This thing can get into these long green runs. Only a 312-lap race. You don't get that many opportunities a lot of time to adjust on that race car.
10th spot. Casey Kane, Kurt Busch right with him. Let's check with Dick Bergman.
Casey Kane's got a whole bunch of problems, Mike. By lap 88, he had come out of the pits in 5th position, but he has dropped all the way back to 10th. 2 problems with the car right now. One of them, up brake vibration. The other, the car is loose from the center off. Kane, who won in Texas, the car problems tonight in Arizona.
Now Kurt Busch had this conversation among he and spotter crew chief, his team.
Looking underneath the 9, trying to pass somebody. Somebody's passing me. I mean, I don't know what I'm supposed to do different. Good time. You're doing good.
That was Roger Penske, his car owner, who's had quite a weekend. IRL in Japan, and he's up there on the spotter stand tonight.
And it sounded like Kurt was a little frustrated because the spotter apparently wasn't giving him the information he needed. Like the 9 car was underneath of me, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I think he needed more information from the spotter.
And the other thing, we had Kurt on our trackside show on Friday. He says, you know what, I just want to have a race where I'm not involved in an incident. The last 3 races, he has been involved with incidents with other drivers. He said he just wants a clean race.
And he had a perfectly good explanation.
And here's the answer to our question on Joe Nemechek. He will try to complete his 40th straight race. The U.S. Army Chevy, minus its front fenders and nose piece, back in the race.
But Kurt had a perfectly good explanation, Mike and Larry. And remember, he said, I'm trying to take cars that aren't exactly right and overdrive. And I'm getting myself in trouble trying to make up the difference when I need to let the car do the work.
You know, we talked about it a few laps ago. Greg Biffle in the 16, he's been passed right here on so many occasions tonight going off into turn 3. He just moves to the high side. Kevin Harvick in the 29 goes by him. Remember, Greg Biffle led about the first 47 laps of this race, but starting to go backwards just a little bit. But Matt Yoakum, that 29, he keeps going forward.
Todd Barrier, his crew chief, told him, Larry Mack, about 3 laps ago, your lap time is just as good as the leader. Harvick slowly making his way up to the front, started 15th tonight. He said the car was stupid tight, is how he described it earlier in the race, but they have made a number of adjustments on this car, and he is working his way to the front. Won the Busch race last night, would love to sweep Phoenix in 2006.
But Darrell, what is this line he's running at that end of the speedway, way down below the white line? It's almost like he stops, cuts, and gasses it.
Stupid tight. Getting those left side tires down on the apron, trying to get the car to turn.
But just remember, one of our FedEx racetracks, beware of the apron in 3 and 4. He got some cars in trouble last night, shot him up the racetrack into another car.
It does, but if your car is tight, as that one is, it won't do that. He's just trying to get that thing to cut, and he's using all that apron to make it do it.
A lot of grip down there on that apron.
Oh, yeah.
And Greg Biffle right behind him, his car almost got away from him trying to keep up with Harvick on that lap.
But you know what Forrest Gump said about stupid?
Remind me.
I can't.
Okay.
There's Biffle on a little slide, left black marks coming off turn 4 that last time by. Kind of a controlled slide. Greg Biffle right now back in the 6th position, led the first 47 laps.
Riding with Tony Raines up against Scott Wimmer there. Once, twice, and off to break we go.
Years of age, Mark Martin, 47 years old.
Well, he acts like he's only about 34 years old, and right now he's out front. He's kind of showing these boys what for in this Roush on number 6. We take a look right there. There's his teammate right there, Greg Biffle, making a move on the inside of Dale Earnhardt Jr. for 5th place. Greg led early on, and he's been kind of chasing the racetrack at this point of the race, but it looks like maybe he's getting a little bit more of an idea of what needs to be going on. And Martin Truex Jr. starting to put some pressure on his teammate there in the 1 car. He's going underneath Dale Earnhardt Jr., and he's been running strong all night long. But as we can also see right back there coming in the picture is the 43 car of Bobby Labonte. Now, he's one of those teams we've been kind of talking about. He's not had quite the year he's been looking for, but tonight he's in the top 10. And Jeannie, I think you got more on what's been going on with Bobby Labonte.
Yeah, I think their expectations were exceptionally high. There was a lot of work done in trying to just recruit Bobby Labonte to get to this team for good reason. As I spoke with Robbie Loomis this morning, kind of overseeing both the 43 and the 45, he said, when he used to work with the 24, Jeff Gordon, you know you've got the driver to get the job done. That is what they have with Bobby Labonte. No questions there at all. Now you just have to give him the right stuff and work with the crew, work with the car. Really expectations today. They think this might be a little bit of a breakout weekend for them. Definitely a top 10 what they're expecting, and hopefully by the time they get to Talladega, they'll really make a splash. Guys?
Thanks, Jeannie. If Labonte can finish in the top 10, it should vault him forward 5 positions rather, in the Nextel Cup standings.
Robbie Loomis right there, and right now Bobby Labonte is by far the top running Dodge, and as DW mentioned earlier in the show, Dodge has never won here at Phoenix. Been here 19 races.
No, but that 43 car is. It's won here at Phoenix.
Tony Raines in the DLP Chevy, getting past Dale Jarrett and Jamie McMurray coming into the picture.
See, there's McMurray using that apron too, trying to get the car to turn.
These boys, they've got to go now because we've got into that long green run I talked about, and they're only about 7 to 8 seconds from being lapped by our leader, Mark Martin, in the 6th.
Darrell, let's drive along a little bit with Tony Raines because he's been a busy fellow at work tonight.
Well, you hear me every now and then talk about chopping wood. Well, watch him. He's going to chop a whole bunch of it real fast. Got a big old handful. Juking on it, juking on it. It's a great shot. Car is really tight because you see him really tug it to the left. He's got 2 hands full right there. Pulling hard. Take that right hand and push it down. That left one is underneath there pulling the steering wheel. It's a hard night's work.
Darrell, the thing I notice, every time he gets up on the straightaway, the first thing he does is he checks that mirror.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, even though you got a spotter and he's talking to you all the time, there you go. That's chopping right there.
Now, Carl Edwards has recovered well from that incident on pit road that caused him to make another stop and restart in the rear. As he goes past Casey Kane, this moves Edwards back up into the top 10 in the Office Depot Ford.
Yeah, it's taken him almost 90 laps from the rear of the field to go back into the top 10, but there's no question. If they had to have a mistake on pit road, have it in the early part of the race where you can fight your way back. Here he is back in the top 10, in 10th. You know, at the top of our show, Steve Burns talked about Ryan Newman in the 12 car, that they're just wanting to get this season turned around, and he's just kind of quietly hanging out in the top 15. Right now, he's in the 13th position, Ryan Newman in the 12 car.
I tell you, a guy that I just realized after hitting the wall down here in turn 1 with a blown right front tire has bounced back. Dave Blaney in the 22 car up to 19 and moving forward.
For as hard as that car hit the wall in turn 1, hit the safer barrier.
Well, we saw his crew members all up under it, working on it on pit road, and they have done a great job of getting him fixed up, getting him back out there.
They are looking for their very first top 10 finish of the season. Their best finish was 14th, or 17th actually, back at Martinsville last month.
Now, there's only 2 cars officially out of the race, Michael Waltrip and Brandon Ash, but Robbie Gordon, Kyle Busch, Elliott Sadler, Reed Sorensen, and Scott Riggs are in the garage. Here's what happened to Blaney.
I mean, he goes down in turn 1, and the car just does not turn. Goes up, and, man, that's a hard hit. And to be able to repair that car and sitting there at 19th spot and moving forward is pretty impressive.
That happened back on lap 53 about 90 laps ago.
That thing's as tough as a caterpillar.
Speaking of which, Kyle Busch is back in the race after damage from contact.
You can't stay low here.
With Casey Mears.
Of course, Kyle comes in here 7th in the points.
Now, they are going to, now that Kyle is back on track, apart from the incident, he is going to get black flagged and brought to pit road and held for 5 laps. This is a penalty at NASCAR's discretion.
Stay low here, bud. We need you back
for
in the pit
bumping
stall
into
outside.
Casey Mears after the red flag was displayed.
The hits just keep on coming.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Penalty box. Mark Martin, your leader at lap 146 in the Subway Fresh 500.
Sits in the pit stall. They're making the chassis adjustment. You can see them spray the ether near the cool box to try to get this car refired. Sean Curlin still spraying. Still, the car has not fired. Ron Mallett, the car chief, gets it in there finally. He is away. The car was running in second before he hit pit road.
Well, 3 out of 4 of you on our singular poll thought we'd have a new point leader. Jimmie Johnson came in here with the lead right now. Whoa, boy, that apron may be your friend, Darrell, but
well, you've heard that old expression, it won't turn in a 10-acre field. Well, he needs more field. He's just getting down on the apron.
Look what happened. Watch the one at Martin Truex. This was a few laps ago as he tried to take advantage of going down on the flat with the left front.
You just need more racetrack, so you just go down there. You can't go out to the outside, so you get down there on that apron, and there's grip down there. When you're pushing, that's what you do.
But he was on the apron a little too far around the corner, all the way to the exit of turn 4. He loses that position to Matt Kenseth. Right now, Martin Truex Jr. losing another position. He's in the 9th spot.
Sterling Marlin and Denny Hamlin come to pit road. Kenny Wallace has made his stop and gone. Earlier damage to the right side of Sterling's Chevy. And Hamlin took his car to the garage. He'd had trouble earlier. And now Dale Jr. coming to pit road, where he gives up 15th position in the Budweiser Chevy.
45 miles per hour all the way down this pit road. It starts in turn 4, ends over in turn 2. Here comes Tony Stewart in the 20 car, as well as Dale Jarrett, the 88 UPS car.
Now Stewart was the 5th place car. Here's Dick.
Well, they're going to have to do a good bit of work on Junior's car. He has fallen considerably off the pace toward the tail end of that run. He was real fast at the beginning of it, but it's the end that really counts. They've now changed the windshield piece on it. This is the same car that Junior has won here with twice, both in 2003, 2004. Last year, Michael Waltrip finished second in it, and this is the only track that this car races on.
Here comes Bobby Labonte in the 43 car, running up in the top 5. Casey Kane in the 9 car. Again, these are all scheduled green flag stops.
Labonte gives up 4th place to make his stop. Kane was 7th. And here's the leader, Mark Martin, coming in, Dick.
And Casey Kane on his way to the attention of his pit crew as well. He recently on the radio said the front won't turn and the back is loose. That's a tough combination. He does a nice job of bringing the car to a halt right in the center of the pit box. A new windshield piece for him to Steve.
Dick, Mark Martin just told the guys this car has a big fat motor in it, boys. He said he wants no adjustments, but he does want a report of how the right front tire looked after it came off. Matt.
And the 29 of Kevin Harvick is already in. Now, he said the car has started to go a little bit to the tight side of the center. As he starts to pull away, he has to pause as Jeff Gordon in the 24 comes in. Gordon said he'd used up his tires on that run. The car was both loose and tight, but especially tight in the center. As we're going to work on the left side of the car, the 99 of Carl Edwards is in as well. To Genie Zalasko.
Well, the 07 of Clint Boyer, he has been very happy with his car all day, and they tell me in his pit, you know he's happy because he's just not saying a whole lot. And that not a whole lot is pretty much what's going to happen during this pit stop. There's more tires and fuel.
And Boyer, during this sequence, led his first laps that he has officially led in Nextel Cup and became the 6th different leader today, Dick.
And Brian Vickers is in his pit stall, Mike. His biggest problem all day, believe it or not, he's got so much power under the hood that he's spinning the rear tires under throttle, coming off the corners. Hopefully a new set of tires underneath the back end will give him a little bit more grip.
Brian Newman in, Jamie McMurray, Brent Sherman, Kyle Petty, Stanton Barrett, Travis Kvapil, all making pit stops.
Now, Matt Kenseth had taken the lead, got his 5 points that time. Now, he comes to pit road because you're giving up about a second and a half to these cars with fresh tires. So he's on pit road now in the 17 car. That's going to hand the lead to the man that was down in the wall in turn 1 about 120 laps ago, Dave Blaney in the 22 car.
Casey Kane speeds past Blaney. Kane on new tires. Blaney out to lead a few laps as Matt Kenseth's stop is completed by Robbie Reiser's crew.
And of course, what Dave Blaney would love to see right now, you can see right there how much better those fresh tires are. We saw it in the Busch race last night where some cars got off sequence, stayed out, and they got a caution that helped them stay on the lead lap and get a lot of track position.
So the cars that have not yet stopped on the lead lap are Dave Blaney and I believe J.J. Yaley and David Stremme.
Now, Yaley and Stremme was part of that group that pitted about 10 laps later than most of our leaders, so we know fuel-wise they can go just a little further, but tire-wise, trust me, they're getting beat pretty bad, as you see right there. Jeff Burton, the 31, just goes right by Yaley in the 18 Interstate car.
And here comes Blaney on pit road now, y'all.
So Dave Blaney in the Cat Dodge gives up the lead. That's quite a run for a car that was hard in the wall back at lap 54.
Pretty amazing, actually.
In front of him, Jeremy Mayfield. His Dodge dealer's Dodge is done and back in the race.
You know, I've had guys through the years tell me, some older drivers, you know, they wreck their car, they work on it, get it fixed, they take it home, and they find out things about it that it ran better after they wrecked it. They found out things about it when they got it home and said, well, we ought to try that, and it made the car better.
Now, Mark Martin in the 6 just took the lead back from J.J. Yaley in the 18 car, but remember, Yaley still has to make that green flag stop here probably in the next 4 to 5 laps.
Well, they better hurry, Larry, because he's losing a second and a half a lap to Mark.
Yeah, he's going
to running now.
He's going to go from leading the race probably to a lap and a half down once he makes his stop.
But you know what, Larry? I mean, this is kind of his home track. I mean, his hometown, and man, if you can sit out there and lead a couple laps and talk about him, that's a big deal.
So it took about a 10-lap window for all the leaders to make their green flag stop. So now they're set, if we stay green, for another 75 or 80 laps.
178 complete, 134 to go in the Arizona desert. You're watching the Subway Fresh 500 on Fox.
Better was a big plus, too.
Now, the other side of that story is the hometown hero, J.J. Yaley, driving for Joe Gibbs in the Interstate Chevy. Yaley stayed out to lead a lap. He was the last lead lap car to pit, and as we documented, lost a second and a half a lap to the cars on fresh tires. Yaley finally came in 3 laps ago, and now he is a lap down in 30th place.
The moral of the story, Doug Richard, when he pitted Greg Biffle, he was banking on a caution not coming out. Steve Addington, J.J. Yaley's crew chief, was banking on a caution coming out.
And there's a good chance that can happen when you get cars that are coming in and out of the pits, getting on pit road. You got cars that are faster than cars that are out there on older tires. It's a great ingredient for a caution.
Or one of those cars not put together very well.
Yeah.
Well, there's
some of those riding around out there right now.
There are a whole bunch of casinos in Arizona you can go to and get better odds than that tonight. Tony Stewart up to 4th, and after starting dead last, Steve has more.
Well, Mike, we've been documenting his charge to the front from the rear of the field. Once he got up into the top 10, he kept repeating that the car was tight. He couldn't get forward right. Well, they have now seemed to fix that. When they pitted under green on lap 171, they added a rounded wedge into the right rear, and they made an air pressure adjustment in the right front tire. He's up into that 4th position, as you said, Mike.
Well, it sounds like you anticipated our singular virtual crew chief question, Steve. Will Tony Stewart make it from the back to the front? Well, he's done everything but lead. Stewart up to 4th. It's your call, folks. Text the word crew to 191 on the Singular wireless phone, or log on to foxsports.com/singular, and you'll be entered to win Jeff Burton's payday in the July race at Daytona.
That's how you win championships, though. Patience, patience. Take your time. It's a long race. We'll get some in the pits. You get some on the track. Everything will be fine.
But you know, the car, Tony Stewart right now in the 20s, we're looking at Jimmy Johnson, the 48 car. He's in 5th position right now. But the car that Tony Stewart in the 20 is chasing right now, Clint Bowyer in that 07 car. We're well past the halfway mark of this race. This kid's still sitting here in 3rd position. So a good job by Gil Martin and his crew on pit road getting him off on these green flag stops. Clint finished 6th in the Daytona 500, but that's been his only top 10 finish of this year. Great run for this RCR group.
Just overall, Larry, I mean, you got to just keep bragging on the Childress group. I mean, the way everybody's running in that crowd, Jeannie, they all look good.
Oh, yeah. Well, this, by the way, marks the 1-year anniversary of Clint Bowyer's first cut start. He's hoping it's more memorable than that 22nd place finish a year ago, or really last night's Busch race. We've been talking about that tonight. His crew chief, Gil Martin, told me today it really was a learning experience. They learned about things that happen when the track cools down, and then they learned about things that happen when you least expect it. So he's taking nothing for granted. I mentioned earlier during the pit stop, he's real happy with the car. So he's not saying a whole lot today. And again, they say that's a good thing for this guy, because when he's not happy with the car, you hear all about it.
That's right. Now, Dale Jr.'s had an interesting night. He's right now running in 13th spot. He's about 23 seconds off the lead. Had a pretty good pit stop. But if you want to hear interesting audio on your scanner, just dial up channel number 8. This was a great exchange between Dale and his spotter and crew.
Doing a lot better with your line there. It's really good. That's just the fastest car on the track. What'd you say? I said he's really fast. Your lap times are looking a lot better, whatever you've changed, but that's the fastest car on the track right there. Why am I getting past? Because he's the fastest car on the track. Oh, I thought you were saying I was.
All I know, boys, when I close my eyes, that's a voice from the past that I worked with in 97 and 98. The apple didn't grow far from the tree.
That's what all those crew chiefs tell you, though. Oh, you're the fastest car on the track.
Why is that car getting smaller?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, Clint Bowyer is one of the fastest cars on the track right now. His last lap was within a tenth of Carl Edwards in 8th place, who is the fastest car on the track. And Bowyer is coming. You're watching from Greg Biffle, who's in the Subway National Guard Ford, the second place car.
Down on the apron.
I don't think Biffle's going to be second place for too long.
No.
Bowyer's Nextel Cup car looks just like that Busch car, that 2 car from last night that he drove.
Right through the center of the corner. Can really, really make a lot of time.
Bowyer's teammate, Jeff Burton, in the 31 underneath Jeff Gordon. This is...
would that be Mr. Gordon there?
Oh, no, not there.
Well, this will be good news for Greg Biffle and Clint Bowyer, because I guarantee you those boys are not going to give up, as Clint Bowyer in 07 just goes by Greg Biffle
that
for the second spot.
Car is hooked up big time.
But now Burton and Gordon's work cut out for them. They've got to really struggle to try to stay on the lead lap and keep that number 6 behind them. Well, that's close quarters right there.
When you're the leader and you're trying to lap somebody, you got to be really, really cautious. Right behind him is a 2 car trying to get back on the lead lap.
going to see the blue flag here in a bit to give the leader the right of way. Caution is out.
Caution's out, debris in 1 and 2.
Boy, was that timely for somebody.
Well, it was timely, obviously, for
Three
Jeff
people.
Gordon and Jeff Burton, but you just mentioned Darrell Waltrip. Kurt Busch now will get the free pass, so perfect timing.
Yeah, that was a win-win-win right there.
Metal debris. All right, we joke about the timing of the caution, but the tread on these tires are so thin, a piece of metal that's in the track anywhere near the racing groove can have disastrous consequences. NASCAR's first priority is safety.
Need debris retrievers.
Steve.
Mark Martin says this car is awesome. It's like the good old days. He has 13 top 10s and a win here in 93. They're going to take a half pound out of the left side tires. Jeannie.
Well, the 16 of Greg Biffle having problems again with that right front. He said it's chattering. Obviously, at this point, they realize it's not a tire issue. It is what's going on with that right front of the car. They got to make it more drivable, Matt.
Chad Canals told them they were about 8 laps early when they pitted and they ran out of gas. Johnson right now in the 5th position, getting ready for this stop, says the car is a little better. Dick?
Casey Kane is going to pit. He is right now running in the 10th position. The car is loose, coming off the corner, and right now, let's crank it up.
Is there a problem on Mark Martin's car, Steve?
I think so, Mike. Pat Tryson just banged the pit box in anger, said, Mark, you're going to have to come back in. I wonder if they maybe left a tire loose, or wheel loose rather, but he's going to have to come back down. Jeannie.
Well, you know you have a good car when you're just talking about 0.2 of a pound of air pressure. That is the adjustment that they made to Clint Bowyer's car. It's the right rear, and I mentioned Greg Biffle needing some help with the handling of the right front of that car. They made a track bar adjustment for him.
All right, Martin's back in, Jeannie, and he had to navigate through the lap down cars that are pitting on this lap.
It's left rear tire. They're back there tightening it up.
Go. 50.
And so Mark Martin now, one of the fastest cars of the day, will have to come back around, and there's the reaction for trouble on the left rear.
He's going to go out in about the 19th or 20th position now. That's about how many cars we have on the lead lap.
Dick Bergman.
And we have been hearing from Junior all night long, well, at least this half of the race, that he has had a push. The front end of the car just sliding out from under Junior. Gee, he looked so good early on in the race. Matty?
Kevin Harvick having a very solid top 10 run tonight, Dick. Now, he was running in the 6th position before that stop. He needed to be freed up. He's been going back and forth between tight and loose, but now he needed to be freed up on that last run. Some adjustments by Todd Berry and the guys. He won the Busch race last night, survived a bunch of restarts. The air pressure adjustment he's hoping will fix his car in the center of the corner.
Chris Myers.
Thanks, Mike. Time for a Visa race break. 110 laps to go under caution here. And if you're wondering what happened to the pole sitter, he led 7 laps. Kyle Busch, who won this race in Phoenix back in November, had some problems, but Tony Stewart, who qualified 3rd, Jeff Hammond, had some tire problems, had to start 43rd, but chipped away to work himself all the way up to 3rd.
Very patiently right here, makes his way up through the field, going past Greg Biffle right there at the end by Jimmy Stewart. He's got a car that's really working really well, and right now he's presently in 3rd position after this latest round of pit stops.
Antonio will restart 3rd. Let's head back upstairs.
That's a wonderful life.
Yes, it is.
We're getting set for the restart. 202 laps complete. 110 to go. Clint Bowyer, who before last night at Busch Series finishes here of 13th and 2nd leads them down for the restart.
And DW's been saying it all year long. We will have some rookies win some races this year, probably have one make that chase as well.
Oh, yeah, these guys have got way too much talent not to be in the chase and not to win a race.
Mark Martin restarted 16th.
And they're all on good teams.
Yep.
That's the other part, too.
So Mark Martin's got a long way to go, Steve.
Yeah, Mike, and he just said to his spotter, listen, you got to help me out. I don't want to get in trouble here as spotter as Mike Sanyitko, and also want to mention that there was a personnel change on the 6th car, the rear tire changer, Daryl Lockyer. It's his first race. That's where the loose wheel was. And Daryl, you say it all the time, don't beat yourself.
Yeah, and the thing is, think back to last night. Clint Boyer got penalized, got sent back to the back, got in a wreck. Just in the earlier wreck we had here, a couple of cars come into pits. I think the 41 car, Sorensen, got in a wreck. So you got, when you get back there, it just seems like it's almost inevitable.
Think about our pole sitter, Kyle Busch. Got penalized for speeding on pit road, got in a wreck.
Clint Boyer and Tony.
Trouble over there off the turn 2. Sorry, guys, but somebody took off the fence.
Stanton Barrett. But he keeps going.
Yes, he did. I'm sorry about that.
No caution.
Clint Boyer and Tony Stewart both just ran their fastest laps of this race. Being right at night is the key to getting home first here.
They're getting down there to laps that would have gotten this show qualifying on Friday.
That's what we said.
Nighttime is the right time.
Thank the Lord for the nighttime.
Reed Sorensen is back in the race, and that means that from the big pileup at lap 100, of the 7 cars involved, only Michael Waltrip has not returned.
And just speaking of Michael, tonight was his 650th career Nextel Cup start.
Things are cooling off outside, but heating up on the racetrack.
Oh, business is picking up. You get these cautions, get these restarts, you're going to see some action.
You almost got a 20-degree swing in how cool the track has cooled off. You know, not that much ambient, but when the track cools down, the speeds pick up because the cars run so much quicker through the corners. The tires are gripping.
Cars happier, tires are happier, drivers are happier.
And coming back toward the front, Matt Kenseth, who battles Carl Edwards for 6th. They are teammates, so not much of a battle there.
Boy, I tell you what, just getting up high now and getting that momentum off of turn 2 over there really makes a huge difference. Now that run down into turn 3.
And here's Mark Martin racing Jeff Green. Martin is now up to 14th place.
Well, one good thing about it, Larry, I mean, there's only, 17 cars on the lead lap. So even though Mark had to start at the end of that line, it's not like he had to start all the way at the back like Tony did.
But Mark's definitely going to need the help of some cautions to get back up there, I think.
Tony Stewart on the move, chasing Greg Biffle for 2nd, and problems left rear, Scott Wimmer. Saved it, and he'll get to pit road.
Scott was 1 lap down back in the 27th position, but as you said, he will make it to pit road.
There's just been so much beating and banging off of turn 2 over there. When you get under somebody, you slide into them.
Goes Tony Stewart, and that 20 car just drives by Greg Biffle for 2nd spot. Right now, he's about a 2.5 seconds behind our leader, Clint Boyer, in the 07.
Well, that is the highest that Stewart has been tonight after starting this race from the back.
Oh, trouble down here. J.J. Yaley's around.
Brett Sherman
49.
into him. Caution. And Denny Hamlin almost involved as well.
I don't think J.J. hit anything. He just spun that bad boy out and kept on going.
6th caution. And there is damage on the left side of Yaley, but that's where Brent Sherman in the Serta Dodge got into him after he spun.
Pretty minimal damage for a car that spun all the way around in front of all those other cars.
Now, this caution does not put us where we can make it to the end. If we pit right now, it's only been 10 laps. I think you'll see most of the leaders stay out.
Watch his 18 car. He just loose, really loose back there in the corner. Gets the thing spun around. He gets a little contact from the 49.
Actually, Brent Sherman, the 49, didn't get a lot of damage.
Didn't get a lot of damage for what could have been.
And watch this hole open up right in the middle.
Yeah, and the 11 car just comes, hello.
Come on through. from our Exmo Cam, our extra slow motion, 1,000 frames per second camera.
Look at that. That car just gets loose, starts around, and there's no saving it. See that staying in the gas, that's one of the tires smoked, the rear tires. He's got it all matted. Trying to get it to spin all the way around.
Biggest thing those two cars need is 4 more Goodyear tires.
So we're under yellow for the 6th time in Phoenix, Arizona. You're watching the Subway Fresh 500 on Fox.
Fantasy Auto Racing Team and win 2 tickets to any Fox broadcast race. Go to foxsports.com and the keyword UPS. We've had 9 leaders, 16 lead changes. Clint Bowyer leading for the 2nd time tonight, trying to hang up in that recent round of pit stops. Tires a factor, and some people obviously playing it safe.
Yeah, right now the leaders all stayed out at least the top 10, but most of the guys from 10th on back, like Ryan Newman, Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, as well as Kurt Busch, they all came down pit road and took an opportunity to get fresh tires, which have shown to be better all night.
All right, Mike, they're getting ready to go green.
We're told Dale Jarrett had to come back in the pits, missing a lug nut when he left. So he'll start from the back. He's a lap down.
Yeah, we had 7 cars. The leaders all had about 11 laps on their tires. We saw earlier where most with cars that had that many laps stayed out. So not surprising the cars at the back came in, cars at the front stayed out.
Well, you can see right now, the last thing you want to do is get back in this mess, because this is exactly where all the trouble is. Happens just about every time you come here. Everything goes smooth. You get these restarts. Then you get 3 wide.
4 wide.
Woo. Huh. Boys, this is not going to work for long here on this 1-mile racetrack. 3 wide right there, and Mark Martin in the 6th in the middle.
Junior trying to forge his way in the middle lane. And for the lead, Tony Stewart from last to first. How about that?
Took him 217 laps to do it. If he leads this lap, and he will, he has led a lap in every race in 2006, all 8 races.
Well, I think that singular question was a no-brainer. Would Stewart forge his way to the front? He has. Survey said, no. Come on, you guys have to have that one back. Oh, well.
Well, we do know that 75% is wrong.
Every time you participate, you're entered to win a chance for Jeff Burton's payday at the July Daytona race on Fox. So Stewart is obviously the biggest mover after starting last and moving to the front. And by the way, going away.
Oh, yeah, that thing out in clean air is moving on.
You know, we talked about Ryan Newman in the 12 car earlier. He started back in the 13th position. He just moved into the top 10, sitting there in 10th. Looks like they're getting their car better and better. And since finishing 3rd at Daytona, he only has had 1 top 10, 15 finish since that finish. And I think this group here would be perfectly happy to get out of here with a top 10 finish tonight.
Well, I think there's a bunch of guys that are shaping up for their
outside.
Shaping up for their best finishes tonight.
Now, Ryan Newman was one of the cars that stayed out. You see right behind him, Mark Martin in the 6th, one of the cars that got those 4 tires.
Boy, you heard Junior have to feather the throttle there because he got loose coming off turn 4.
I wish you'd look at Mark Martin, 3 wide off into turn 1.
That just tells you one thing, Larry. That hot rod is handling, baby.
And he's confident in it.
He's coming to the front. He'll make up for all that time he lost.
I'll show you a little bit ago when Mark Martin was smack in the middle of this group. You'll see him come into the frame. Turn 4, big crash. Junior. Martin squeezes through it. Jeff Green gets by, but there's a car up in the wall.
Kyle Petty in the 45 was up against the wall for a second.
And there's another one still parked there in the smoke.
Look at that, Brian Vickers in the 25 car that's up there.
Well, he had to stop way back, Larry, because he has brake problems. So Junior has some damage.
Some damage. I don't think it's going to hurt him.
And there's still 1 car parked in turn 4.
Ryan Newman. We just were talking about Ryan Newman in the 12 car.
7th caution flag, lap 223.
Let's see if slow-mo can help us here. Whoa, Junebug got into the back of the 45 car, and Ryan Newman just locked it up and went straight in the fence.
Yeah, he paid the price.
Oh.
And there's some damage on the front of Mark Martin's 6 car, where he got into the back of Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 Dick Bergman.
And Junior got on the radio and told his spotter, go tell the 45 car it was my fault.
Guys, look at Mark Martin in the 6. There was only enough room for a car to get through, and he went through it.
He wiggled his way right through it. That's old cool hand Luke right there, buddy.
He is charmed.
Yeah,
Ryan Newman, on the other hand, has a car that may be done for the night, and only 3 cars are officially out of this race. You see Ryan sitting in the ambulance. He climbed out under his own power.
Rattlesnake Hill, and he is snake bitten tonight.
Now here's Kyle Petty's car.
Pit road is also getting pretty busy there.
Steve.
They talked about making an air pressure on the 20 car. Tony Stewart vetoed that and said, just give me a little bit of wedge in the right rear. That's the only adjustment in Tony Stewart's car, Matt.
Good stop going so far for Kevin Harvick's team. Wedge adjustment's already complete. He's not going to beat the 20 off pit road. The 48-minute track bar adjustment. Up, Jeannie.
The 07 of Clint Boyer needed the car freed up just a little bit. That's what they did. 4 tires with air pressure adjustments. Dick?
Casey Kane in the number 9 car parked well back in his pit. That gave Junior plenty of room to get around him. Crew now working on the back of the car. The back trunk is well up in the air. They've got to get that pounded down so the spoiler isn't too far up. A lot of cosmetic damage to the back end of car number 8, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Now that's from where Mark Martin got into the back of Junior after Junior sent Kyle Petty around to start this.
I don't think Junior's car's hurt that much. That's all down below the spoiler. The blade's still sticking up there where it needs to be. Pretty much just cosmetic, I believe.
It didn't do the butt cam any good.
No. Well, that's more damage there than it looked like it was.
Y'all do what you got to deal with.
Make sure that spoiler's up in the right place.
Our director, Artie Kempner, wants that fixed before they go back on track. .81 laps to go. We've just waved the green flag once again. Greg Biffle takes off from Tony Stewart. Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, Clint Boyer dropped back a few positions on pit stops, or on that pit stop. Went from the front to 5th.
Got all 3 Childress cars there in the top 10. Well, top 11. Now Burton is 11th. Boyer's 5th, and Kevin's up there in 3rd. So those Childress cars continue to be impressive tonight.
See Dave Blaney back there in the 22 cars. We've got this battle right now between Clint Boyer and the 07, Kenseth in the 17. That's a battle for 5th. They're just leaning on each other. But Dave Blaney in the 22 right in front of them, working feverishly trying to be the first car lap down, get the free pass if we get a caution. He's in the 19th position right now.
Yeah, Sterling Marlin was the free pass car on this caution flag.
Comes Carl Edwards in the 99 trying to follow his teammate around Clint Boyer in the 07. Carl's car so good right in the middle of the corner right now. What's interesting about that last caution, we saw everybody come to pit road. Reason being, they pitted with 88 laps to go. We talked about the fuel window, about 75 to 85 laps. I get a feeling a lot of cars are thinking we'll make it to the end from here regardless. We talked about that at the top of the show.
Jeff Gordon in traffic with Martin Truex. Truex 12th. Gordon trying to take the spot. Kurt Busch is there as well. And things starting to heat up as Carl Edwards has passed Clint Boyer.
Oh, yeah. You talking about leaning on each other? You ain't seen nothing yet.
See in the battle on the right there with Jeff Gordon in the 24 car, there was Kurt Busch in the 2 right behind him back on the lead lap. And here's Mark Martin in the 6th. Right now, he is in the 10th position.
43 car, 9th. Still looking good.
Bobby Labonte, and there's Jeff Burton in the 31 behind him in the 11th.
Casey Kane in the 9, our leading Dodge Charger in this race at 8th place. Bobby Labonte 9th. Kurt Busch 14th. A lap down, Dave Blaney and Casey Mears.
Well, I know the 6 car there, Mark Martin, I know he felt bad about what happened on his pit stop, but getting through that wreck down there with those guys and not getting any damage, that well made up for the pit stop. And he's back there. He's going to be somebody to deal with before we get done here.
And you can tell he's definitely faster, it looks like, than Bobby Labonte, the 43 car right now, but he's boxed in.
Yeah, it's frustrating here. You get cars running side by side, these lap cars on the inside, faster cars the outside. He just can't go anywhere.
The place really does race like a short track, doesn't it?
It does. It's a lot like, I don't know, Martinsville.
Problem with 75 laps to go. Mark has a car that can contend, but he's over 9 seconds behind our leader, Greg Biffle, in the 16.
11th place here, Jeff Burton in the 31. Had to ease up for Travis Kvapil ahead, and here comes Truex and Busch.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car, all that damage on the rear of his car right now just went by Jeff Gordon in the 24 for 14th position. We're riding with him up the backstretch here.
Yeah, when I was looking at Junior's car, I just feel like the damage he had is not going to affect the performance of the car, really, because the blade was still sticking up there where it needed to be, and that's the most critical thing. So he's going to be okay, I believe.
And remember, yeah, he's here to win the race, but sitting 6th in the points, he has only 1 finish outside the top 15 this year. He's completed every lap of competition. He's just looking for that top 10 or 12 finish to stay in the game.
Well, those 2 guys right there, the 8 and the 24, in my opinion, Larry, that's what they're really focusing on, is to be in the top 10 and be in the chase when we get to the 26th race.
Look what's happened with our leaders. Greg Biffle has walked away from Tony Stewart to the tune of just over a second, with Kevin Harvick 4 seconds back in 3rd, along with Jimmy Johnson, and Matt Kenseth 6.5 seconds back in 5th. 72 laps to go in the Arizona desert. You're watching NASCAR on Fox. Medic damage. What else might be wrong with that car, Jeff Hammond?
Mike, what's going on out there right now with Dale Jr.? If he's got anything as far as this quarter panel and spoiler been knocked down, it's going to hurt the way the air comes over the car and plants the back of the car. Now, we've heard all night long drivers making adjustment, needing to have that grip so they can drive off the corner. This racetrack is very fast, and what that affects are these rear tires. If the car doesn't get the bite and the arrow pushed down in the track, it will not launch properly. He'll have trouble getting down in the corners with any kind of speed. It can be a real nuisance for a driver like Earnhardt, who looked early on like he was making his way to the front. It's going to make for a long night now.
Thanks, Jeff. Dick Berggren has more.
Well, fortunately, Jeff, they do have that spoiler where they need to have it. Junior just came on the radio a couple of moments ago and called the car solid as a rock. And we should also point out that he again came on the radio after the accident and took responsibility for it and asked that his apology be extended to the number 45 car, Kyle Petty. That's a pretty neat thing for a race driver to do right in the middle of an event like that. Take responsibility for an accident that happened. You don't often hear it.
See, that was what I was talking. Remember we were talking about Kurt Busch in a pre-race show? What does he need to do? That's what he needs to do. He needs to, when he makes a mistake or when he's involved in something, apologize. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Don't blame it on somebody else. Just say, here's what happened. I made a mistake, and I'm sorry. Dale Jr. is a classic guy when it comes to doing that.
I know he may feel like this car is rock solid right now, but he just lost the position to Brian Vickers in the 25. That puts him the last car on the lead lap, falling into the clutches only by 6 seconds in front of our leader, Greg Biffle, in the 16.
Now, Biffle has opened his lead on Tony Stewart to 2.3 seconds. But, Jeannie, is there enough sand in that hourglass of Biffle's?
Yeah, the plot thickens. Crew chief Doug Richer with the calculator. Jack Roush is leaving the pit here. He was overseeing the math. The outcome? Well, they just came on the radio and informed Mr. Biffle will be about 4 to 6 laps short. Do what you can do.
Yeah, the problem is we talked about this a while ago. They pitted basically on lap 224. That's 80 laps to go. They went back racing at 229. That's roughly about 73 or 4 laps from the end. That's right there on that window. What they've got to do, they've got to watch the race pace. They've got to listen to what the driver's telling them, because if that car's pushing and not turning, it's going to use more fuel.
It ain't pushing, I can tell you that by watching his hands. But here's the thing about it is, they're right on the money. I mean, they have no insurance, and that's why they're telling him to, hey, save just a little bit. They're going to be fine, because that's right on the edge of what I think he could run.
And with this type of a lead, he can conserve a little fuel.
Right,
That's not a lot of fuel to conserve here.
No, just don't jump in and out of the throttle. Be smooth with the gas.
So if you got any nails, start biting them. Mark Martin trying to get back in the game on Clint Bowyer. This is for 7th place.
Pretty good recovery for Mark, considering all that's happened to him in the last little bit here. Getting through that wreck, trouble in the pits. He's worked his way right back up there.
Yeah, the problem is, though, he's going to need a caution because he's 14 seconds behind his teammate Greg Biffle in the 16.
And right now, nobody, not even Tony Stewart, who is second, can run with Biffle. Now, the difference may only be hundreds of seconds a lap, but the gap is growing.
Well, you think back to Biffle, we watched him practice, and we talked about him not being real good on the long runs. But here's what they did, and I really think it's impressive. They anticipated the track tightening up. That car was a handful for him in practice. It was a handful early in this race, but now it's come to him, and he is flying around here now.
How about Tony Stewart, Steve?
Well, Mike, on that last pit stop, they made a wedge adjustment to the right rear, and Tony Stewart has just told crew chief Greg Zipadelli, we may have gone just a little bit too far on that adjustment. Let's back it down a little bit when we stop again. Matt?
The biggest hindrance that Kevin Harvick had on that last run was he needed to roll through the corner, the center of the corner better, just a little tick tight. The air pressure adjustment they made seems to have helped a little bit, but he's still 4.5 seconds out of the lead. As far as fuel, Todd Berrier's crew chief told me they're about 1 lap short, but at that point, we're just going to roll the dice and go for it, because if they have to stop at that point, they're going to lose a lap anyway under green.
And Matt, remember, 1 year ago, Kevin Harvick, Todd Berrier had a car that was going to finish in the top 5. They ran out of fuel on the white flag lap, the last lap of the race.
And remember now, 1 lap's only 1 mile. So, you know, one mile, surely you can milk a mile out of it.
Right now, he's got his hands full of our points leader, Jimmy Johnson, in the 48 car.
Speaking of points, look at what Kevin Harvick has done lately. Since Atlanta, when he was 23rd, he came in here 9th, and right now would pick up another position based on his 3rd place running of the moment, just ahead of our point leader, Jimmy Johnson.
Well, we talked about guys needing some big points tonight, Biffle being one of them. Ryan Newman, who's he's out of the top 20. Kurt Busch, who's running right now in 11th place. So guys that were way back and needing good nights, several of them are getting them.
Lots of different ways to enjoy the race. There's a painting being done live down in Gatorade Victory Lane. I wonder if they'll paint that in to be the car of the winner tonight.
Like something Hammond would do.
Would be his point standing position, not his position in the race. Jeannie?
Well, when I walked away from the 07 pit of Clint Bowyer, making our way down to the 16 pit, turned to me and they said, where are you going? We're coming back. And they're very positive guys. I've asked them probably 3-4 times now. They say they can go all the way on fuel. Very positive about that statement.
All right. Laps wind down, 38 to go. Casey Kane started this race 22nd. Dick Berggren.
And they're telling Casey Kane to be real careful about his fuel. He is going to be very, very close, Mike, within a lap or 2. And of course, just to give him a little bit of confidence, his crew chief Kenny Francis, or team director Kenny Francis, just came on the radio and said, you know, there's a couple guys in front of you going to run out of gas.
You know, Larry, just one time now, just one time, I'd like to see this thing go to the end with no caution.
You and I both.
So we can just see who's telling who's telling the truth.
Hopefully everybody has everything tied on their car good.
There's some cars out there with some stuff loose on them, I can tell you that.
Stop. We saw Bobby Labonte there in 10th in the Cheerios Dodge from Petty Enterprises, and here's Kurt Busch in the Penske Miller Lite Dodge, 10th and 11th.
Nice recovery by this car. He went a lap down, and about 76 laps ago got the free pass back on the lead lap, trying to get back to the top 10.
Yeah, a number of guys have really been, you know, taking advantage of that the lucky dog tonight. Kurt's one of them. And,
probably the biggest one was Dave Blaney. As we have a look at Martin Truex, we get to Blaney in a bit here. Truex is 12th. He is the 2nd rookie in the race. He is a 2-time champion of the NASCAR Busch Series. Let's take a closer look at the young driver from Mayetta, New Jersey.
I'm Martin Truex Jr., driver of the #1 Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet. Forgot to say where I was from, didn't I? I'm from Mayetta, New Jersey. This is my first full season in the Nextel Cup Series, and I'm going for Rookie of the Year. I'm the 2-time defending Busch Series champion. What I like most about racing is the great competition. I drive for DEI. Dale Jr. is my teammate, and that's good because we're friends both on and off the racetrack. When I'm not racing, I like to hunt and fish. I'm a big Philadelphia sports fan. I like the Phillies, the Flyers, but most of all, the Eagles. Even though I won 2 championships, I don't really see myself as like a big shot. I just feel like a normal guy that gets to do what he loves.
Now, Jeannie Zelasco is telling me that they've told Martin Truex Jr., his crew chief, Kevin Mannion, he could be about 3 to 4 laps shy on fuel here as we've got 33 laps to go.
Think about poor Robbie Gordon. He runs a DEI motor, and, you know, he always has to short pit. Apparently, they don't get the best fuel mileage.
Jeff Burton running in 13th for Richard Childress, the Prilosec Chevy. Big gain from where he started tonight. And Jeff Gordon struggling a bit in 14th place, 22 seconds off the lead in the DuPont Chevy. And completing our top 15, Jamie McMurray just went past Sterling Marlin to move up to 15.
A lot like Kurt Busch, went a lap down, got the free pass about 65 laps ago. This is definitely a car that was terrible at the beginning of the race. They have made it better, working with new crew chief Bob Osborne that Jack Roush moved over there from the 99 car.
Small victory tonight. I mean, that's probably as good as the 26 cars run. So it's a small victory tonight, and maybe they get things turned around.
Back at the front, Tony Stewart has now climbed to within 1 second of Greg Biffle. Steve?
Mike, I just checked in the pits, talked to car chief Jason Shapiro, asked about the fuel situation. He said we're going to be within a half a lap either way.
Well, it's Greg Zipadelli's birthday this weekend. Maybe that half a gallon of gas will be part of his presence.
It's going to be interesting.
Going to be close.
Has won 3 of the last 4 Cup races. Casey Kane, the hot driver, the highest running Dodge at #9 right now.
And right now you take the bumper cam out of Greg Biffle's car, and you can really see him starting to gain on him, can't you, DW? He's gaining on him.
Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Stewart is coming. He was 2/10 quicker than Biffle that lap. He's got it chopped down to half a second, Darrell, but he's having trouble closing hard on Greg Biffle.
I think he's just lurking back there myself, and I think that Biffle's really driving hard like Biffle would do, and Biffle's car's getting a little loose off, and that's where Tony is really gaining on him.
And remember, the last time we had a long green run, Greg Biffle deteriorated late in that run. Had to short pit, actually, to get those fresh tires early.
Kevin Harvick in 3rd is good on fuel. Mark Martin is good. He's in 6th place. The rest of the top 5, Matt Kenseth and Jimmy Johnson, the 2 drivers that lead the Nextel Cup points. So it'll be a nail-biter here. Just 19 laps to go. Who has enough of that Sunoco race fuel to get to the finish line? These cars get, what, 5 miles to the gallon?
Actually, a little bit less than that.
Yeah,
about 4.5 miles.
4.5,
Yeah.
4.8 if they were really leaned down good.
But I'm going to tell you what, we look at Greg Biffle and Tony Stewart. We talked about Kevin Harvick. There he goes right there, back in the 3rd spot in the 29 car. He's under 2 seconds behind our leader, Greg Biffle, and only about a second behind Tony Stewart in the 20 car. There he is.
All these cars, I mean, this is a long green run right here, and the guy that's got the best long green setup is going to be the guy that might prevail here at the very end.
And right now, that appears to be Harvick. He is 2 to 3/10 of a second faster than Biffle or Stewart. And here comes Mark Martin for 5th.
Mark just keeps clipping them off, but he just got too far to go. He's not going to be able to catch the leaders, but he sure has done a great job of fighting his way back.
Yeah, it's taken him almost 100 laps to get back to the top 5 since that lug nut problem on a pit stop at lap 201.
But I got to tell you something, boys. That 29 car it's like he hit the afterburner. He is there. He's come right up on the back of Tony Stewart in just the last 3 or 4 laps. And it's like they called him and said, you got enough fuel, you can go now.
He stepped it up.
The last time Kevin Harvick had 4 straight top 10 finishes was 2003, 3 seasons ago.
Car is so good through the middle of the corner right now. 15 laps to go. Watch it right here in the middle of turn 1 and 2. Right there. See, the car turns. He's below the apron. He pulls right up beside Tony Stewart in the 20. Wife Delana looks on.
Outside, slowing on the bottom. Outside.
You have to love Delana. She is a hard-working woman. She works in the pits. She runs Harvick's race teams for him. She is a racer through and through. Her father was a great racer, and she is too.
Harvick got trapped behind the lap car of Dave Blaney that time. Stewart takes second place back, and you can see Delana's reaction to that.
Don't worry, Harvick's coming back. Stewart's car now slower than Biffle, and Greg got away a little bit because of these two battling side by side.
Oh, Biffle's loving what he's seeing in his rearview mirror with these two guys.
And Biffle's the hungriest of all. He's not had a top 5 finish since Homestead last November.
Oh, this is definitely what he needed right here. Point-wise, he was slipping back in a hurry. This will get him back up into the top 15 or so. This is going to be a good night for him no matter what happens.
You're clear.
Harvick takes the Goodwrench Chevrolet to second. How about our leader, Jeannie?
Oh, this is going to be a good night and an exciting finish as they just came out of the radio to tell Mr. Biffle, we're going to go for it. Keeping in mind, we've already reported they think they're going to be short. Buckle up, Matt.
Harvick has never led a lap in Nextel Cup competition here at Phoenix. 13 laps to go, trying to chase down a win here. He's won here in trucks. He won here last night in Busch. Now, the team has been very lighthearted in the radio. It's almost like Comedy Central joking back and forth about maybe pulling off the sweep here. Now he's set his sights on that 16 car. Todd Berrier says, don't worry about fuel. Don't worry about the brakes. Just get them.
And I mean, here's the thing. With our 15 cars on the lead lap, remember, all of them pitted at lap 224. All of them are close. Everybody's going to go for it. You're going to go till you see a checkered flag or till you run out of fuel.
Checker or wrecker?
That's it. Or push truck.
Deal or, 11 laps to go for Greg Biffle.
Sliding.
Tell you what, Harvick beat Biffle that time by 3/10 of a second.
He's going to get him. There's going to be a battle here, and it's going to who's prevail, I don't know, but there's going to be a battle.
He's going to get there. Is Harvick going to get him?
I believe he will. I tell you, Biffle's car has gone off quite a lot, and Harvick's car looks great. You can see both sides. You can see the National Guard say, go, baby, go, and you can see Delana there chewing on whatever fingernails she got left.
Harvick's car goes through the middle so good, it enables him to come off the corner good.
10 to go.
Look at this. Look at this. He's there.
Look at the rotors glowing.
He is burning it down, baby.
And he takes the lead here. Come to the flag. 9 laps to go.
He just drove it down in there. Biffle he didn't have a chance.
Greg Biffle is big picture racing. They have to climb back up in the point standings.
Hit your marks and drive away.
Biffle came in here 23rd in the standings. He might leave here as high as 16th. And Harvick with a wiggle coming off the corner.
But he's backing the gas so hard, coming up off that corner full power.
The corner, you hit your marks.
And he gets right here. This is where he really goes. Watch him.
That's Nicole Unders, upper right, who stood by her man in
there
Texas.
You go. You're driving away. Come on.
And Delana Harvick, upper left, hoping her husband can get to victory lane.
How about old Happy Harvick? He's going to be all smiles here, isn't he? And where's Childress? The Lion sleeps
he's in Africa. But I'm going to tell you what, the question is, it's the great thing about NASCAR racing. It is not over until it's over. No matter how much he drives away, does he have enough fuel to get to the end?
In the first 4 races of 2006, Kevin Harvick's best finish was 11th. But since then, 2nd at Bristol, 7th at Martinsville, 5th in Texas.
Got no pressure there. We need to
right
control a little bit.
Serve just a little bit.
Not going to hurt anything.
Not going to hurt.
Todd Berry, tell him it's not going to hurt anything. You've got over a second lead, 7 to go. If you want to roll out a little early, go ahead and build us some insurance. But all 3 Childress cars in the top 12 right now.
Back it down, buddy. Just take it easy. You just pull it away. Don't abuse it.
Keep doing what you're doing. How about his teammate Clint Boyer, the rookie, 7th place. He just took the spot from Jimmy Johnson.
6 to go. 6 to go.
And Burton back in 12th. So what a great night for Childress. Last night, won the Busch race and primed and sitting here looking like he got this thing won tonight.
Ryan Vickers in the 25 car.
And look at the window net on Kurt Busch's car. It has come disconnected.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
I believe he's holding it in place. NASCAR says, no, that won't work. And he'll have to bring that
It's up. He got it up.
Well, they're discussing whether or not. Yep, black flag on the 2.
Yeah, as long as his hand's up there, then I think they're going to hold that black flag true. Right now, he's in 15th, the first car a lap down.
At third place, Matt Kenseth and Mark Martin have caught Tony Stewart.
I think Stewart is really slowing down, trying to save some fuel.
Big picture race.
Yeah, I think that's his deal right now. I think they're all banking on maybe Harvick running out of fuel.
Coming around to 4 to go.
Now, a Roush car has hit pit road for fuel. Jamie McMurray in the 26 car, he was in the 13th position on the lead lap. He hits pit road for fuel with 4 laps to go.
40 car in the pits, that's out of fuel.
Third place battle's the best one, as Stewart tries to hold off Kenseth and Martin. They almost went for 3 wide. Mark thought better of it. Steve.
And there are concerns in that 6 car, Mike. He might be running out of gas. He's concerned about it.
Well, he just had a teammate, Steve, that hit pit road, and of course that's his other teammate, Matt Kenseth, in the 17 in front of him. 3 to go.
Kurt Busch obeys the penalty flag. He has come to pit road to replace the window net. Safety issue there. Mark Martin goes past Stewart.
Stewart fights back on the outside, which you get a great run off of the turn 2 on the outside, but Mark's really, really good right here, right through the middle.
This is
third.
Tony
cut him off. Didn't leave him any room. 16's on the apron.
He's out of fuel. He's out of fuel.
Gives up second place to come to pit road.
Nice and easy, nice and easy.
He couldn't get by the 40 car of David Strimmy. And remember, when you're not running, you have no tack to tell what your RPM is as far as pit road speed. White flag next time for Kevin Harvick.
Big lead.
What a shame for Biffle. Mark Martin is out of gas.
Kyle Petty's out of gas here on the front stretch, the 45 car.
White flag.
White
big
flag
lead.
for the 29. Big lead.
Yeah, he's got a 3.5 second lead. He just seemed to roll this thing around here.
Tony Stewart and Matt Kenseth side by side.
They've been that way, but so far Tony's been able to hold Matt off.
He's got to do it one more time.
I think Matt might get the better of him as they go down into 3.
Mark Martin, he's still out of fuel here on the front stretch. They can't get the car running.
Take the white flag, but won't make it back.
Use all you want now. Come on, bring her down. Bring her down.
Kevin Harvick, for the first time since Bristol, is a winner.
Back to back.
He wins the Subway Fresh 500.
And he won last night. What a weekend for that guy.
Martin Truex Jr. ran out of fuel on the last lap.
Kenny Wallace out of fuel.
You gonna help me pay for all these brooms I'm getting ready to take?
Just remember,
Come on, baby.
1 year ago, the guy had a top 5 finish coming, ran out of fuel on the last lap. Tonight, he made it.
Carl Edwards giving Mark Martin a push.
Cars are coasting around the track all over the place.
Well, that's to go to the garage because assistance is not permitted on the final lap of the race.
Nope.
And Richard Childress, the 6-time champion winning car owner who owns these 3 Chevys, is in Africa hunting. Well, his team has bagged a big one here in Phoenix.
All 3 cars in the top 9.
Do a wee, my wet. Do it there, Mr. Harvick. She ate up some asphalt tonight, didn't she, baby?
Yes, sir. He is the king of burnouts.
That's the sweet sound of success in the Arizona desert. Kevin Harvick.
Smoke 'em.
Fireworks hit the Arizona sky, and welcome to the Sprint post-race show. NASCAR on Fox. No drought in the desert for Kevin Harvick. He sweeps the weekend. The Busch race, and tonight the Cup race. Chevy congratulates Kevin Harvick and the 29 Monte Carlo SS with Richard Childress Racing. Another great Team Chevy victory. 25 of the last 34 NASCAR manufacturers championships and counting. Chevy, an American revolution. Kevin Harvick moving up in points. Let's head down to Matt Yoakum in victory lane.
And the celebration commences at the big Coke guy. Hey, at one point you were singing the Chicken Little song on the radio. Last year you ran out of gas. This win means so much after all that's gone on in the last 38 races?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome for this GM Goodwin Chevrolet. We didn't ever give up. We didn't have the best car all day today, but we had the best car when it counted. And I accomplished my goal this morning. That was to spray you in the face with Coke.
You did. Did you think you're going to run out of gas at one point? You said you're about a lap short.
You know, before all those cautions, we were about a lap short. But there at the end, everybody fell off so much, I was able to run dang near pace laps. So it was one of those things we were able to conserve gas. But I want to thank Sylvania, Coca-Cola, SKF, Emerson Technology, Sherwin-Williams.
A lot of motivation.
Team Realtree, GM Card, Reese's, Snap-on. I got everybody.
The one thing is your car owner, he's in Africa. Should you just tell him to stay on safari?
All I know is while he's been gone, we're undefeated. So I don't know what that means. But you know, this is a credit to the whole race team. Everybody's worked hard in turning everything around, and we're still not.
You led a lap here. That was important.
Yeah, we led the right one, too, the last one.
Congratulations. Nick Berggren.
With Tony Stewart, tell us what happened with the tires that made you start all the way in the back.
I'll be honest, I'm not sure. It's something to do with, you know, our tire guy had sent the truck driver to round up tires or whatever. But, you know, with the fact that we all lease tires now, when they return those tires back to Goodyear, it was an accident. It was a set we qualified on, and they drill them. So you can't put air back in them. So once they had done that and everybody figured out what the mistake was, there was no way we could remedy the mistake, so we had to go to the back. But, you know, it was a fair judgment by NASCAR because we didn't start on the set that we qualified on, so they had no choice but to put us to the back no matter what the mistake was. So, you know, it just wasn't – we just didn't really think about it much. I mean, the whole team before the race were laughing. We're watching a hockey game on the TV and all just giggling and laughing like nothing had happened. So just really, really proud of this whole Home Depot team. And our Monte Carlo SS they just took away from him my leaning post, but it just was good all night. I mean, we had to fight early in the day. We got really, really tight in the center of the corner and really loose off. So we just finally got over the top on that last adjustment, and Greg got away from us and got loose at the end.
Okay, Saturday night under the lights, from last to first, he finally finished second, Mike.
And he maintains his top 5 point position. Matt Kenseth, 75% of our poll was right. Change in the point lead.
Yeah, just barely, but they were right. Jimmy Johnson right there hanging close. But what an exciting night, Larry. We finally got a finish. We finally got one without a caution messing everything up, and it was exciting.
We had 3 Roush cars that had to pit for fuel. Fortunately, Matt Kenseth, Carl Edwards was not one of them. That's the reason Matt Kenseth was able to take the points lead back.
Great run for the rookie, Clint Boyer. He finishes 5th. Bobby Labonte up top 10.
Yeah, got 8th. That's a good job on his part.
And all the Childress cars up there in the top 10 with Jeff Burton finishing 9th tonight.
Sterling Marlin 13th, Brian Vickers 14th.
And we'll send it to Chris and Jeff.
All right, Greg Biffle led the most laps. Mark Martin right behind him. I know these oil companies have us over a barrel, Jeff, but they ran out of gas. Biffle ends up 16th, Mark Martin 11th. Richard Childress, big weekend, and Kevin Harvick really on his game.
Definitely on his game right now. Momentum's big. Going to Talladega next week, he'll also be strong there, but I also want to tip my hat to Bobby Labonte and that Petty bunch right there. Had a good run to finished up 8th.
So 30-year-old Happy Harvick from Bakersfield, California, first win in 39 races, moving up in points as we head on to Talladega, Alabama next weekend. Jeff Gordon winning that race last year. Saturday night racing here in the Arizona desert. Tony Stewart had to start at the back of the pack, worked his way up. Kyle Busch, the pole sitter, led early before wrecking and being pushed back. Promotional consideration provided by these fine people. And as we mentioned, Saturday, the Busch race. Sunday, NASCAR's longest track, just over 2.6 miles in Talladega, Alabama. For Jeff Hammond, our entire crew from the Hollywood Hotel, I'm Chris Myers. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Good night from Arizona.